AI is here to stay. It's going to be the predominant technology of the next 10 years. Agents are going to be a real thing for your business.
We are doing it. I mean, it's not theoretical.
The people that are actually executing on it is like less than 1%. It's not going away. You've got to find time and money for this.
Just get started. And then all of a sudden you start thinking more and more and more and more and more. Then you're in the game.
Expert advice, practical tips, real-life stories. Have less stress, more time, and more money in your business. Welcome to the Cashflow Contractor.
Martin, it's been too long.
It has, man. I don't know what's going on. Soccer. European soccer messed up everything.
Yeah, the World Cup started and I went MIA and we couldn't record the podcast. No, I've been busy, man. Lots to update people on, and I've updated you, but yeah, just obviously my hands are in a lot of things, always have been, but I'm trying to consolidate a little bit and focus. Started GrowthKits, I guess it's been 2 or 3 years now, but basically shut down GrowthKits or sunsetted it, which was a tough decision, but you need to say no to good things. You can't do everything. So we shut that down. Still have some like projects, I think, that are going to wrap up this month that we're finishing out for that. But,
and I just finally brought you a referral for one.
Yeah.
You still do it? Well, which it might still work out.
There's a way we have some things that we can just kind of hand to them. But, yeah, that's been a journey in and of itself. And then, Benali, which was way back in the day a marketing agency, pivoted to consulting, has now become an AI strategy and implementation company. And there's a lot happening there. We've built a couple of products. We're working with 6 companies now on AI implementations. And I've been giving workshops to companies and associations as well. And so that's been a lot of fun. And it's going really well. I brought on a partner for it, a technical co-founder. It's really hard to say co-founder. I think that's the right term because it's a brand new type of service and offering, but the name Benali has been around for a little bit. So, but that's been a lot of fun too. I've really enjoyed having a partner.
Yeah, excellent.
So
we could do a whole podcast on partners.
We could.
We should do that someday.
We should. But anyways,
to partner or not. But anyway,
to partner or not, we've done tons of partnership actually topics. But I will say, we have an attorney for the business, wrote the operating agreement.
Excellent.
Talked about all the hard issues of divorce and death and disability and default and all these kinds of things.
Need to add more money and
Yeah. So anyways, everything's going smoothly. So, You wanted to ask questions about AI.
Yeah, I did. I don't know if you included us among those 6 companies. Maybe we're a 7th company, but we've got some things to do.
You would be a 7th company because we're technically not under contract.
Okay. Then one of the things that's coming up with AI around me, I use AI pretty piddling uses of AI compared to what it can do, but more than a lot of people do. And what I'm finding is people asking me, they say, well, how do you use AI? I hear all about it. What can we really do? And there are some very simplistic things that I mentioned, to get started, like ask AI how AI can help you, things.
Yeah.
But in exploring ways for me to use, for us, me, meaning my wife and I in our businesses, how to use AI on some specific uses we thought of. There are 2 things. One is, how do you kind of have an internal AI for things like putting your simple things like putting your employee handbook on a AI searchable database.
Yeah.
And I tried that early on, wound up getting a mix of best practices for on the internet. I have no idea where some of it came from, some of it came from us, but that was one simple one. Then because Diane operates a business that has HIPAA, there's a bunch of information that I need to get, patient information that that is necessary for me to do accurate financials.
Yeah.
And that's just what I thought of so far. I thought, wow, I can do this very complicated stuff on an Excel spreadsheet by writing, I don't even remember what they call the power queries and all that, which is hard to do for a guy like me, meaning if you're not doing that every day, it's hard. But finally found a way through AI that would go do what I wanted it to do. In other words, go to a file and do some work on go to a folder and do some work on all the files that were inside that folder without me having to download 500 or 600 files and put them into a query into Chat or Claude. Well, it worked great. And then we were going through it, trying to say, what would HIPAA think of us doing, putting information into AI, the public AI, if that's the right word.
Sure.
And it turns out they don't think very highly of it at all. They're not ambiguous like a lot of, well, what happens to my financial information? Oh, it doesn't remember it, but maybe it does. But they're ambiguous. On this, they were not ambiguous. Said, don't do it.
Yeah.
So there you go. And I'm sitting there, I am denied the right to use, the ability to use AI. I'm blocked. I'm not denied, I'm blocked. And so started to talk to you about it. And the idea of coming up with I'm just throwing this word out, a local AI, that people can put their own financial information in. Not everything has to be, or HIPAA type stuff, or intellectual property. You can put it in and use AI on it, but it's not exposed to the world because it's not in the world. The AI is local. Okay,
right.
That's a very messed up, muddled, amateur approach. But what I was after is how can I use AI without exposing it to the world? And you said, well, we do it with a local AI. And I thought, people will want to hear about this. I'm not the only one in the world who wants to be able to have the benefits of AI with some sort of security.
Yeah.
And so anyway, you're doing that. You're going to be you're working with us for that. You're evidently working with 6 other companies for something similar. And I thought maybe you ought to bring this up. So, one more thing. I was having a conversation with a prospect back east, and just mentioned using AI. And this is a very sharp, they're in the medical field too, lady. She said, well, how are you using AI? I hear all about it. How can I use it? And again, it's HIPAA again, but there are a lot of people who would like to have local AI that they can do their financial, their intellectual property, their code writing, which I don't do, all of those type of things.
Sure.
With confidence. So you're doing that, and I thought the world ought to even hear about that on our podcast, because that's going to answer a lot of questions.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about security. If before we get into local AI, let's just kind of like frame the problem really quick. So typically in like a security instance with AI, like what is the concern, right? So one concern would be that, oh, wow, I'm going to give all of the access to let's say my Google Drive with all of this like proprietary information. Maybe it's contractor, social security numbers, and employee sensitive data, et cetera, inside of my Google Drive. And now AI is going to have all that information and it's going to get leaked out to the world, right? So you have that level of security issue. The next one is that I'm going to give it access to my files and my data, and it's going to mess all of it up, right? It's going to delete everything, or it's going to put a bunch of edits to things that shouldn't be edited, or all that kind of stuff, right? Which can happen, right? It's very possible. So that's another security concern. The next security concern is that I'm going to put all this stuff, let's say I'm a contractor and I am a specialty contractor with a proprietary process that only I know how to do this thing, and it's my secret sauce or something along
trade
those lines.
secrets.
And I'm going to be using ChatGPT, and I'm going to put in my secrets to be able to put into nice visuals or whatever I'm doing. I don't know. Now that ChatGPT has that information, and it's going to train the model on that data that I gave it, and then give those answers to other users, right? Because it's training on this model and it learned my secret sauce, and then someone's going to ask about my secret sauce and it's going to give them the secret sauce, right? So that's the next security concern. There's also some other things to think about, but those are what I would say would be like the primary three security concerns, right? A huge, massive amount of data leak that I'm going to be compromised on. Nefarious actions that AI is going to take inside of my organization because it has access to the tools or the files. And then it stealing my IP, essentially, stealing my proprietary information, and sharing it with the world, through not necessarily a data leak, but through it training the model on how to do my stuff and answering questions, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So how do you get around something like this? One, stop using the free models and pay for it, because if anything that it's using on the free version, right? So you go into a free ChatGPT account, it is 100% training on that information. Okay. So
even though it says it isn't, because I've asked it if it was.
Well, you're not on a free version.
Oh, that's
You're
true.
paying for Claude. Okay. What I'm saying is if you're using the free version of ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever, and sorry, not just the free version of the AI, but their tooling. So for example, you're using Google Drive on a Gmail account that's free. Anything that's inside there, Gemini could be training on. Okay. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're there's the saying that like, if it's free, you are the product.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Same
if you can't
thing
tell
applies
what the
to this.
product is, it's you.
Exactly. So
Well, let me ask this real quickly in passing.
Yeah.
If I am paying for my Google Drive, which I am, it's not.
so
it still gets
then-
read, doesn't it?
Yeah, it still gets read, but the main concern is, and we can talk about HIPAA in a little bit, but the main concern is that Google is taking your trade secrets and training their models on your trade secrets. So then those become public domain knowledge, because I can then go to Gemini and say, well, what does ABC construction do? Or how does this apply? And they're teaching people based off of what they've learned from you, right? So a couple of things that you need to check in all of these platforms, that if you're using the AI, or even if they have AI baked in, is by default, I would hope that they are not training on your data by default. It's like hey, I'll allow you to do it, like a toggle box. Yes, I'm okay if you train on my interactions with you, right? That's turned on by default, and you can't turn it off on the free versions. On the paid versions,
Right.
if you're on, like, for example, Claude, and this is as of July 15th, 2026. This can change at any point. If you are a paying user, Martin, like yourself,
Right.
but not on an organization account. So like for Anthropic Claude, you would have to have a minimum of 5 users, right?
Well, if you're getting to that button, I have turned it off. I managed to find it and turn it off.
By default, that button's turned on.
It was on. I had to, don't remember exactly how I found it, but I was able to. So listener, you'll be able to also.
Exactly. So it's just in the settings, but if you're just paying for a Claude account and I believe it's the same for ChatGPT. It would be called a pro account on Claude. I believe it's a plus account on ChatGPT, if I'm not mistaken. They changed the names to these things. It's training on your data by default. I'm not necessarily worried. I think most of our listeners don't actually have trade secrets, if we're being honest. Maybe there is some sort of secret sauce, but I don't know that that's necessarily.
Well, just something very, very shallow level, but I put my financials in and somebody Googles, nobody cares about my financials, but some of my clients, I just say, hey, how's old so-and-so doing? And could it possibly pull up their financials?
That's not really how it works, right?
Okay.
So it's not like it's adding it to a
Data.
Google Drive database and then anybody can query that database and say, hey, what did Martin upload? That's not how it works. They're using that model to train, they're using that data to train the model on how to read financials and what financials look like and what types of errors are in financials and what are the common things and
Okay.
right? So
Not really memorizing my data.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. So
yeah, it makes sense.
So that's kind of how that works. Okay. So if you're on the team account, like an organization account, that setting is turned off by default. Okay. So it's not training on your company's data by default. Now there gets into the question of like, well, do you trust Anthropic? Do you believe that they're telling the truth? Okay. And how are you going to know? They're not a public company. They don't have to disclose. They don't have to show records of like them not training on this. So there's that level of worry, right? But now we're getting into the point like, do you trust Google? Do you trust Microsoft? If Google is not abiding by their agreements and training on your data when they said they weren't, how big of a lawsuit is that? And who's going to be the one that takes them down, right? Okay, so we have that. Now, to the point that I really want to make is, if you are not paying for this, for these services, I guarantee you, your employees are using AI and they are using the free version and they are uploading this data to AI. Make sense?
Okay, how so? No, it doesn't yet to me.
All right. So let's say, for example,
So I'm on a company computer and I go get it free.
I see it all the time. I literally see it every single day.
Okay, so I'm using company information on my computer.
I've got to work on this project for work. I could save 2 hours if I used Claude or used ChatGPT to help me with this. My company doesn't pay for my account. I'm just going to go and log into my personal account, which is a free version, and I'm going to upload this company data so I can move forward on this project faster. Right? It's happening. It's happening. Okay. So what do? You pay for an account, right? You say you have an AI policy. You make sure that everyone's trained on it and they understand the implications, just like a phishing attempt on your email, right? It could happen to anybody. It happens literally even the hacks that you're seeing that are these massive hacks, they're not like these like crazy cyber people that hacked the mainframe and no, they're creating a very elaborate phishing attempt that's sent via email, and someone with permission to all these things ends up clicking it and they get access to the email, and then they just access the login and go in and attack the system. Yeah. Right? So all that being said, this is these are kind of the primary things that people think about and need to be concerned about. Now, I would say for most contractors, you don't need to be sitting here thinking about security issues with like Anthropic or OpenAI or Gemini to your company at this level. Because, and unless you're talking about things where you have employee contracts and there's sensitive information in there that you have like hiring laws that you've got to abide by or something along those lines. If it's like your SOPs and you're worried about Google having access to them, like I tell you to have a reality check that like you're not that special, right?
Yeah, but HR, you mentioned that earlier, HR employee information was among the original information that had to be in a locked file cabinet.
Exactly.
So if it's
Yeah.
out there,
But if you're on a team account of Claude, what I would say to you, and of OpenAI, ChatGPT, if you're on a business level plan of Google Workspace and using Gemini that way, what I would say to you, if you're comfortable putting it into a Google Drive, like a paid Google Drive, you should be comfortable putting it into Claude. Okay. Now, let's say you're a biomedical, like doing research that's proprietary and you're doing these expensive experiments. Okay, now you've got some really proprietary information, right? That if Anthropic decided to train its models on or get access to, it's going to be able to basically wipe out your company, right? That's when you start talking about, okay, I don't want Anthropic trading on it. If you're more concerned about token cost and paying for all this stuff, and you're running up bills on Anthropic, then we start getting into the conversation. Or sorry, you have HIPAA compliance that you have to worry about, like which is what with your company. That's where you start talking about using local models. What is a local model? So essentially, right now, Anthropic has a model. It runs at a data center on a massive computers that can handle not only the weight of the model, like how big it is, but also how it gets sent out to people, right? So the cloud and how people access it and the burden, the workload, right? Well, these models are really big right now. They need to be running on massive computers, okay? But there are models that are much smaller and they can run on actual computers.
Real quick, you say,
Yeah.
So like Claude has more than one model?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
the massive one. Is there one original source model for Claude?
So they've got different models. They've got
that's
Mythos,
all the
Fable,
the Opus 5.0
Sonnet, Haiku. They've got versions of them.
Yeah. Okay.
These are all different models.
Right.
Okay. But then they
it.
have them stored multiple times over on these data centers, and then they have to serve them to people.
Right. No, I got you. I wasn't thinking about the models.
Essentially, you can think of it like a computer program, okay? And you can put these computer programs on your computer if your computer is big enough, right? Like Apple just released that they're working on a 1.5, trillion gigabyte RAM or something like that computer. I don't know. Or maybe it's 1.5 million, maybe a trillion's an exaggeration.
It's big.
It's massive. Okay. And that would be capable of running like Fable, which is the highest level reasoning model from Anthropic right now, and Claude. So it's coming, right? It's kind of like me talking to you, Martin, in 80s, saying, hey, you're going to be able to run like Grand Theft Auto on your computer. You're like, what's Grand Theft Auto? But you think about like that's a massive computer game. And I'm saying you don't have to go to an arcade and play that game. Like you could do it on that personal computer. And you're like, really? This level of graphics and all this kind of stuff? Yeah, because computers got bigger, right? They could store more, right? Whereas in the past, it was like, oh, I can fit like 50 kilobytes on this floppy disk. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So these models are going to be able to run directly on your computer, not connected to the internet. And so now you've essentially got it on, you're not paying Anthropic to use their model. You're buying you eventually will be buying the model, just like you used to buy a one-time thing. But you can also download a free model, put it on your computer, and it works.
Okay, I think you were alluding to this. I don't know if you said it explicitly, but these models that go on your computer are just massively smaller.
Compared to like a Fable, they're massively smaller,
Well, I mean,
but they're still
compared
pretty
to-
big. They're gigabytes, right? So they're like
Yeah.
5 gigabytes to, you could get like a 30 gigabyte one on a computer. You could get a 500 gigabyte one on a computer, right?
Which implies, and maybe I'm getting ahead of things, but if I'm going to buy a model or rent a model or token a model, whatever, that goes on my computer, a couple of things. I'm going to want it to be relative. It should still have what's relative to my needs in it.
Well, so you have kind of two things, right? Three things. One, you have the model in terms of it, like its level of intelligence. Okay, just think of it like capability in terms of thinking and reasoning and how well it's been trained, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so that's just the intelligence layer. Then you have the tooling layer, meaning that it's been given the ability to use tools, like it knows how to use an Excel spreadsheet or it knows how to use a Word doc. Some of these things are just kind of natively built in, but not necessarily, right? Like you go and you use Claude, it's gotten a lot better at reading PDFs, for example, right? Like it used to kind of generate bad PDFs. Now it's getting better and better and better. That's because it has a PDF tool in it. Like it knows how to use PDFs and build PDFs and read PDFs, et cetera, et cetera. So same kind of thing, you can give it tooling. And then there's a layer kind of deeper than that where you're actually changing the weights of the model, where you are fine tuning it. Almost no one should really be fine tuning. You need a lot of data. So like, let's say that you are a construction company and you want the model to be really good at reading drawings, right?
Exactly.
Well, if you've got a year's worth of drawings, that's not enough, right? But let's say that you've got 20 in-house designers, estimators that do drawings, and you've been operating for 30 years, and you've got, 5,000 projects that you've done drawings on. Okay, well now we can do some fine tuning on it, right? We could get it to where it knows drawings better than anybody. All right. And that's a process where you'd probably have to rent a GPU for like a month and do some fine tuning and all this kind of stuff. And then you could use it.
If I'm following you, you said we're working on the weights. So the alternative, if I don't have 50,000 drawings and 30 years experience, then I've got to have that ability through the model, not through what I trained.
Correct. And you would probably build some tooling around build some tooling around reading the drawings.
Okay, but I'm saying I've either got 50,000 drawings or I'm out of luck. I can get that, but I'm just not going to be able to reduce it and fine tune it and hone it to what I do unless I have more and more data.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. So really nobody in this conversation needs to be fine tuning a model.
Right.
Okay. They need to focus on probably just getting used to using AI. But two, what they need to start thinking about is that you don't have to be beholden to Anthropic and Claude. Like you can have some, or ChatGPT and OpenAI or Gemini. You can have some portability by using a local model. Right? If you're a manufacturer, you might have some proprietary information that you're like, this is how much it costs us to use this machine. These are, it's how we do things. Like I can understand a little bit on manufacturing side, how there's some proprietary stuff there. And so maybe you want a local model. And maybe I should clarify something. So there are open source models that you can go and download right now. There's a lot from China, but there's some from the US.
And they're
it's a program. It's
they're
literally
not
like
Claude, they're not ChatGPT, they're just somebody else's AI.
Yep, it's an AI program that
Boy,
you
that
can
sounds
download.
a little dangerous to be downloading. Yeah, never mind. Keep going.
the reality is you're probably actually not putting it on your computer. What you can do is you can rent a computer, a VPS, a virtual private server, and you can put it on that computer in the cloud. And so you're still using it in the cloud, but it's something that you control, right? And now you're paying a lot less in token usage, and you get the privacy that you want. It can be HIPAA compliant. There's zero data retention. There's all these different things that are there.
Real quickly, people are used to paying. At what level? Explain tokens. Okay, that's not the $20 or the $100 or the $200 monthly subscription.
No.
It's
So
pay per
tokens,
use.
no, so that's the API. The tokens are basically, think of it like a single character, right? So you type in, hey, that's 3 tokens.
Okay.
Okay. So you have upload tokens and download tokens, or it's really input tokens and output tokens, but I use upload and download from like your internet. You know how you have a different speed for upload and a different speed for download,
Right.
right? Same thing for AI. It charges you a certain amount per million tokens typically, upload input, and per million tokens output. It's more expensive to get the output, okay, from the AI. Make sense?
Yeah, and it winds up sometimes getting away from people. They didn't realize what they're spending.
Well, so now we're talking about where there's 2 ways to use Anthropic's model. You can use it through their subscription, or you can use it through their API, right? The API is billed at usage, right? So if you don't use it, you don't pay. If you use it, you pay. Subscription is a fixed cost, but they give you a set amount of tokens to use. The subscription is what they want you to use right now so that you get locked into their model, but also into the products that they provide on top of that model. Claude Chat, Claude Cowork, Claude Code, Claude Design, Claude for Teachers, Claude for Science, all these different products that they're releasing where they want to be like your choice. Like you get used, it's kind of like getting locked into an iPhone, right?
Right.
An Android can do everything that an iPhone can do, but I don't want to deal with the UI, the user interface of an Android, and worrying about like how to function it. I'm just going to get locked into Claude's products, and then I'm going to be willing to pay them, right? So that's kind of Anthropic's strategy, and they're competing with Google and X and ChatGPT and all these other companies, okay? So essentially, if you want this level of security and all this kind of stuff, you can use Anthropic and have zero data retention and HIPAA compliance and all that kind of stuff. You can right now, but you have to use the API, and it's really expensive. Okay? Like 10x the cost of the subscription. But you could get a local model, put it in the cloud, or put it on you could buy some GPUs and put it locally at your office and connect it to your intranet that people are using when they come to the office only. And now you've got these AI models at your disposal, right? And what's nice about that is you can, when you essentially own the model and you own access to the model of where it's stored, you can have it run forever, right? And now you're only paying for like electricity, which is not, it's not even close to what you're paying on Anthropic on the API. And so you can do things constantly in the background. Like you can run it 24/7. You can start to schedule things where it's actually working for you and, doing tests and simulations and research constantly. Like you could have it plugged in and it's constantly researching the best price for lumber if you wanted to. Literally every single second it's pulling it from the markets, right? You could have it analyzing competitors, thinking of strategy. There's so many different things. You could have it answering the phones, right?
We're at the models again, and that's a benefit of the model. Who do you buy a model from? And how do you choose?
Right now you don't buy models. They're just open source. So they're free. You can own them, but I'm just saying they're free. They're open source. Okay? And the hope is the way that open source typically works is that they sell service on top of it, right? So you think about like Linux,
Yeah.
right? It's a free computer software. It's an operating system. And there's a lot of benefits to using Linux. But if I'm a massive enterprise and I decide to use Linux so that I don't have to pay Microsoft or Apple or whatever, at some point there's going to be an issue and I'm going to have service. Well, I'm going to have to hire someone from Linux to come and help me and build this custom application or service this capability, whatever. And that's how Linux makes money.
Okay, so if it's open source, that means it is not. If I wanted to buy a model, I can't buy one, but I want to get them.
I'm sure there's somewhere that's buying models.
Well,
or
I don't
selling
want to buy
models,
one
but-
if I don't have to, but if I want to obtain a model for the benefits that we've alluded to so far in Emmett.
Yeah, you go to a provider like Olama that has it on their website, and then you can't download it to your computer. You can download some of them to your computer, but I wouldn't necessarily do that. You would use a computer that's big enough. You would download it, and then you'd get I mean, I don't want to get too complicated because I don't know that everybody's going to necessarily do this right now, and I don't want to walk through the steps because it gets a little bit technical. I think what's important is that this is a capability, and you need to understand that it's a capability.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't need to know literally how to do it, but I thought you would buy it from, we've established you don't buy it, but I thought you would buy it from Claude or OpenAI or the
No.
parent companies. So just in passing, how do you trust a model that you bought from somebody? And
So how do you trust an open source model?
yes.
Rely on what people are saying. Like Google has an open source model called Gemma or Gemma. I don't know how you pronounce it. Generally, I would trust Google. There's another American company out there, but there's some Chinese companies that are doing really good open source models.
Are the open source
Kimmy and
models
Quen.
specialized in different things? Are there code writing open models?
They'll perform better on certain benchmarks like reasoning and coding and whatever. But typically the tooling has to be added on top of the model. Some of the tooling will come out of the box, but being able to use Excel or Google Workspace or whatever it is, that's tooling that's on top of it.
That's something that you also get for free, or is that something you start paying for?
That's something you build yourself, right? And you use.
No,
so
I have somebody build it for me.
right. So
No, I'm
typically
kidding.
what you would do is you would build the tooling using Anthropic, right? So you'd use a really great high level model like Fable to help you build the tooling for the open source model. Then you would test it with the open source model, send logs back to Anthropic Fable to figure out what needs to be improved, and then it just keeps going back and forth.
Yeah, let me kind of bring this around. This is what you're doing.
Yeah. So this is, I mean, for a lot of people, this isn't the level they need to get to. What we're doing is we're saying, hey, let's look at your operations. Let's find something that would be meaningful if we were to solve it for you, right? And then let's do that for you with AI. So that now, we do it in kind of two ways where, hey, we built a company agent for you, where instead of your employees, like we don't want our superintendents and our crew leads going on to Claude and using this skill and typing in the right thing to make sure it gets the output, then copying and pasting. Let's just get it inside of Slack where they can send a voice message into a Slack channel or into a chat conversation in Slack from their phone while they're driving. Hey, I need this. And then it gives it back to them. And it follows an SOP. So essentially the agent is the SOP, right? It's doing that thing the right way.
Okay, you just brought up agent. Tell me about an agent.
So an agent has company context, So it knows who your company is. It knows who works there. It knows what projects you're on currently. It knows what your offering is. It knows, it has context about who you are and what you do as a company and all that stuff. An agent has access to tools, right? So it knows how to use your project management system. It knows how to write emails and put them in your email and send emails maybe. It knows how to answer the phone. Like any kind of software that if I worked at your company, I'd be able to use, the agent would have the ability to use as you permission it, right? And then it has skills. And the skills are workflows that you've predetermined, SOPs, right? This is how we do WIP reports. This is how we do customer communication, and here's how we do project updates. Here's how we order materials, et cetera, right? And so we build that agent for you with all of those things and continue to build capabilities upon it so that now you can go into a single place where anybody on your company can use it and they have permissioned access to it.
Okay.
Right? So superintendent can do these things with it, but it can't do these things with it, right? Project manager can do everything with it, et cetera, et cetera.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot.
And is this stuff here now, or are we waiting for some of it?
No, it's here. It's now.
And matter of fact, we're not even in the forefront.
Well, what I think you need to realize is that there's a difference between like capability and reality, right? Of like execution wise, like all of these things are capable, and the people that are actually executing on it is like less than 1%, right? So we're in, I don't even know when you could send the first email, but let's just say it was 1995, right? Well, we're in like 1997, 1998, where it's like, yeah, everybody can email, and maybe some people are doing it personally, but how many companies are leveraging email as their primary source of communication?
We had it at least in 94 because I got my first email in 94.
Okay. As a person or as a company employee?
Person.
Yeah. But when did you see it like being the standard for every company to give you an email?
Oh, I mean, we didn't have browsers, man.
I know. So like
you were looking at a little orange flashing greater than sign, colon, and I remember Control Z was sent. That's how I remember that. But there were no editors. If you misspelled a word at the first of the paragraph, you backspaced all the way up there.
Yeah. But do you remember when what company did you first have an email with?
I got it with the University of Oklahoma when I went back and got an MBA. They gave me
what year?
94.
Oh, so they gave you a email at OU.
At OU, yeah.
But
well,
I'm saying like,
there was a company here because it had the coolest URL, telepath.com. And at about the same time, I got an email, private email, at Martin at telepath.com.
So the company gave you that email?
No, I got it myself. Me.
No, Martin, you got hired somewhere.
Well, I was working for myself. But okay, you're wanting to know when did the company do it as opposed to just me doing it.
Correct.
I don't really even remember. Probably late 90s.
Late 90s.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. It went pretty fast. This is an aside, but the big argument in 94, I just remember it because of email and trying to figure out how to actually search a file on the World Wide Web. The big argument was whether or not the government was going to allow commerce on the internet, or whether or not it was going to be entirely government and academic. Yeah. And then it became pretty clear it was going to be commerce, and people said, well, there's no way I'd stick my stinking credit card number in it. And probably pretty stupid to do that, but people did. And I mean, it kind of came like a tidal wave when it started.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't.
No, it's interesting.
Probably, I'm sure I had with construction technology. So late 90s.
Okay.
We had emails.
Well, I think at the end of the day, like this is fairly new. the companies that are starting to actually implement these things, in terms of like having a local or an open source model that's not Anthropic, Gemini, or ChatGPT, it's not many companies that are going that direction, right? Or implementing. They may be going that direction, but they haven't actually implemented. But it's happening, right? And so I think, what do you take away from this as a listener? Hey, AI is here to stay, right? It's not, in fact, it's going to be the predominant technology of the next 10 years. And agents are going to be a real thing for your business. You will need to leverage multiple models as a business to be able to execute these things, right?
Because of the capability differences?
Mainly because of I think the first thing is going to be from a cost standpoint.
Okay, but you said multiple. Why?
Well, because you're going to, yes, because of capabilities, but also because of cost. Ideally, you would just use the highest capability all the time, right?
Oh, okay,
but that's going to cost you a lot of money. And so you're going to start looking at these open source models to be able to manage the costs, right?
Is that a little bit like, am I still using Claude, or am I going to go get one of these models and use it?
Yeah, exactly. You're going to, essentially what you're going to do is you're going to use the frontier models for the most pressing, highest level work, but you need to you need to have some spreadsheets generated and be read and updated. You're going to use a lower level free model to do that work, right?
Yeah.
You think about these models like people, okay? And all of you use a lot of people inside of your company, what outsourced companies, freelancers, contract labor. You've got people that are employees, people that are middle management, people that are executives. You have all these different types of people that support your business, right? The same thing's going to be true of these models. You're going to have so many different types of models supporting your business.
Well, I tell you what, we are doing it. I mean, it's not theoretical.
Yeah.
We haven't yet actually begun, but we are doing it. And I had a specific reason for doing it.
Yeah.
And already I know what's going to happen, because you do it with me all the time. Well, why don't you just, oh yeah, AI, I call you up with a question, you go, look, check Claude, But I want to have it established, because with the information out there, you talk about thinking of everything, all the information that we have in our companies as just a giant database.
Yeah.
Just a giant database. And I want to be able to go out there and pull it together and machinate on it in any way I want. And I haven't even thought of yet. But I want to get started, because I do have a need, and the confusion that still exists in me, and maybe some of our listeners, goes away as you start doing it. Then you realize, oh, yeah. I mean, just one thing is, well, there have been several things I've thought of. Writing clinic notes and things like that, and becoming more efficient. That saves us time and lets us do more productive work. We're not the pioneers in that regard, but I'm just, we can do that too. I just want to get started.
Yeah, I think the main thing that people, again, that need to take away from this is not going away. You've got to find time and money for this. It doesn't have to be an exorbitant amount of money, but if you're going to have people get you up to speed on this, you need money for the service layer of it, of actually getting it done well, right? And you need an actual strategy. You do need to be just using the tools, but you need to have budget to be able to get something in place that you can start experiencing it.
Right.
And so how do you find the budget for this? Well, you've either got to reduce some expenses, or you've got to make more money. Probably increasing prices is the best option most people have that's immediate, and they've probably needed to do that anyways. And so this will come out of the margin from that. But there are ways to use AI to increase the amount of work that you take in.
I was going to say I'd be asking Claude, how can we raise more money to pay for this? How am I supposed to pay for this, Claude?
Yeah, exactly.
Say it tongue in cheek, but it'll tell you.
The reality is there's a lot of roles will go away, but jobs will not go away. There are new jobs that are going to need to be had. And so probably the most common way that this is going to come about, business owner has some margin right now. They're going to use that margin to implement AI. Immediately, they're going to realize, man, we've got these entry-level people that were just doing admin stuff for us or whatever it was, that we don't need them here anymore because AI can basically do that. And now I can have one person just check on it every once in a while, right? And so that's going to be a big one. The other one is that they're going to find a way to basically increase output capabilities. And so they'll have to increase the amount of people they feed through the machine or companies or whatever it is that you serve. And so they're going to increase their top line. And that's going to essentially pay for this through the efficiency gains.
Just as an aside, people who listen to our podcast know that my wife owns a pediatric clinic, and the therapies themselves, speech and occupational therapy and physical therapy, are separate. But the administrative burden that comes from dealing with insurance companies and bureaucracies is massive. And it is the limiting factor. And I don't know how the hell we're going to do it yet, but somehow we're going to use AI to reduce that load.
Well,
and a lot of it is incompetence and unwillingness on the other side. And that's, of course, from my point of view, the bureaucrats don't know something, they just tell you they don't know, But somehow we have to be able, these hours that get spent, not just in billing, which will go on forever, but just in making things line up and work and get licenses and credentials is just massive. Somehow it's got to help us. So that's why we're starting with a known issue. And you say that the takeaways from this are that AI is here and that you're going to get in the game, That is true. That is a takeaway. But the takeaway I also wanted was that reluctance to do it, because I hear it all the time. They're going to have all my information. And I think the three different kinds of things that can go wrong, and the fact that Google already has all your information. No, I wanted to show people there is a way around it with these models. And we're going to do excuse. That. And that was, I don't even know if it's an excuse. It's people were really worried about it and just go, well, what? Well, you don't have to worry about that. And you're not treating this as an ad for you, but I am. You're very good at this. You're in the forefront. You understand contracting. You understand building. You understand the markets that we deal with. And you're a great liaison. And people who are interested in this ought to give you a call. So there you go. Now, the sponsor, you pay the podcast $200, please. No, that's seriously, that's a great service that we can do for our folks if we can get them started and get that first use, analyze. I had a person ask me yesterday, do you use use Claude to develop or to analyze financials? I go, yeah. You can go so far with that, it's really fun. I said, here's one thing to do. Take a year's worth of data, take a P&L, take 12 months, or display it by month, and export it to Excel, stick an Excel file in Claude or Chat, and say, what do you think I ought to notice about this? Just ask it something like that. Or what trends do you see that might look dangerous or that look promising? Or what's our compound monthly growth rate? Anyway, just get started. And then all of a sudden you start thinking more and more and more and more and more. And anyway, then you're in the game, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, give Khalil a call. What do we say? The details will be in the show notes?
Yeah, it'll be in the show notes.
Yeah.
You can book a demo in the show notes if you're interested.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even do that yet. We're going straight for the real thing.
All right.
Okay,
well, thanks,
man.
Martin. This was fun.
Yeah, it was. Thank you.
If this episode brought you clarity, we've got plenty more where that came from. Check out our full library at thecashflowcontractor.com. See you in the next one.